Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our third and final night of this virtual town hall, United Front, The Call, how the Divine Nine can make change on Election Day and beyond. We have had two great nights of insightful, thoughtful, educational, and enlightening discussion about various topics, and now we are on to night three. Our first evening, we discussed social action and social impact. Last night, we discussed economic development and entrepreneurship, and tonight, it's all about the youth, speaking to the youth. With that said, let me bring in the creators of this and our co-moderators, County Commission Chair Eddie Robinson and Memphis City Council Chairwoman Patrice Robinson.
Hello, how are you this evening?
Hello, how are you all?
Just wonderful. Now you gonna change my last name. Now me and Patrice have an inside joke on that one, but we're not gonna go there tonight. But yeah, so let's just keep rolling.
Okay. Did I mess it up?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Did I call you Robinson? Did I call you Robinson? That would be Commissioner Eddie Jones.
Yes.
And Patrice Robinson.
Thank you.
There are a lot of famous Eddie Robinsons.
Yes. We appreciate you being here with us tonight as well.
I'm glad to be here. Chairman Robinson and Chairwoman Robinson and Chairman Jones, do you all want to kick us off with a few brief words? Chairman Robinson, I know you have been saying since Wednesday night, you've sort of been counting us down to the final day of early voting. And today, here we are.
Oh, yes, tonight is the last night. And I know that if you have not been to vote, you still have time. You can watch this, get in your car, and drive around the corner to an early voting site. They close at 8 o'clock tonight. Your next opportunity will be Election Day. That is Tuesday, November 3rd. If you have not mailed back your ballot, you need to get it in the mail immediately. It must have a first-class stamp on it. And if you can't get it in the mail till the 3rd, they have asked that you take it to a particular post office. I think it's in Bartlett. So if you need any additional information, please give me personally a call at 901-262-9952. Now, I want to just share just a couple of things. You need to make sure you remember that if you don't get out there tonight, you must go. You don't have a choice. Your vote is your voice. You need to be there on what day? Tuesday the 3rd. Call a neighbor, call a friend, a co-worker, one of your children. Make sure that everyone goes to the poll and vote. We're doing this together. So again, vote Tuesday, November 3rd. Don't forget to take your mask with you, hand sanitizer, and make sure that you stay 6 feet apart. Thank you. We'll see you at the polls.
We brought props tonight. Okay.
Yes, we did. It was not planned, but I want to thank you, Zaneta, for 2 nights of keeping us, me and Patrice, in line, and welcoming all of our guests that we've had. We've had a wonderful 2 days with great conversation. Mm-hmm. And tonight is so befitting to me because today we're talking about young people. I ran across a young lady today, 22 years old. I said, "Oh, have you voted?" And she said, "No, I'm not registered." And so we had an in-depth conversation talking about the importance of young people voting. For the last 2 nights, I've been talking about good trouble. good trouble. So I went into that spiel with her. I said, if you don't vote now, understand that the people who are voting now are voting for your future. Attrition will eventually catch up to them, but what they voted on may still exist. And that's in your future. And that is why it is important that you vote so that your voice is heard. And she sat down with me. We talked for about 30 minutes, and she really felt the need to want to. She felt really bad that she hadn't even registered to vote. But when I gave her the importance of voting, and that's what we're going to be discussing here tonight with all of our wonderful guests. And so I am just so elated to get started with our first guest, to bring them in so we can talk about young people, educating and sustaining them in a way that they vote not just now, but in the future.
Absolutely, and I think that's a great segue into the point, sort of that's been the underlying theme of this, that it's not just about Election Day, it's even in the title, it's about engagement beyond that, and the youth definitely where it starts. For everyone just joining us, thank you so much for being with us on night 3. I'm going to do some very brief introductions of the chairwoman and chairman, and then we are going to jump right into this great discussion. Patrice Robinson, City Council Chairwoman Patrice Jordan Robinson was elected to the Memphis City Council in November of 2015. She has a long and extensive career in human resources. She retired as a supervisor, assessment and development for Memphis Light, Gas, and Water. And as you can see by that blue she is wearing tonight, if you did not know, she is a proud member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. So thank you again. I know most people watching probably already know you, and that is just a little snippet. Chairman Eddie S. Jones was elected to his second term as Shelby County Commissioner for District 11 in 2018. That district includes neighborhoods like Fox Meadows, Hickory Hill, Oak Haven, Parkway Village, and Whitehaven. He works as a City of Memphis Code Enforcement Supervisor and as a former police officer with MPD. And as you can also see today, wearing the same color, he is a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Obviously, as it says in the title, this is about the Divine Nine and making change on Election Day and beyond. Our theme for tonight, speaking to the youth. And we want to bring in our first guest, Juan Stout Mitchell.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Mask up. I thought you were sporting your colors.
You must have gotten the memo tonight. Well, I'm going to do a brief introduction, and then I'm going to let you guys get started. Former Councilwoman Mitchell was elected to the City Council in October 1999. She is retired from the American Cancer Society, where she served as Regional Director of Cancer Control. She received her bachelor's in sociology and education from Lane College and a master's in education and administration from Trevecca Nazarene. She also served on the Memphis City School Board from 1992 to 1999. And if you didn't see it by that beautiful mask she just held up, she is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Juan Stout Mitchell.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And thank you, Zaneta. We really appreciate you, Juan, for being here tonight. I know the youth, the heart of your work. And we just had a couple of questions we wanted to ask and just find out where you are and what you think about where local government's role should be in supporting our youth.
Oh, good question. I have always felt that a government who takes care of its children and its families should provide a safe environment, good and stimulating activities, support the local school system, and give children an opportunity to learn and thrive. Um, and I see that happening in both branches of government. And I cannot help but think it is because of the leadership and the people who are represented on those bodies who have finally brought our messages from districts to city hall and county government. And I applaud both of you. I know exactly what has been going on in youth services. I think Ike Griffith is the
Mhm.
director of that. He does a fantastic job. I notice things. I pull your coattail if I think it's a problem, but but I notice the good. I want you to know, and he does
Mhm.
excellent work there.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
I've noticed the plays at the end of the summer that children participate in. So it not only stimulates them academically, but it also stimulates them culturally as well as artistically. And I noticed the internships from the county. Um,
Mhm.
and the young people who are exploring careers and looking at people who represent themselves in positions they probably did not know were available to them. And I want to applaud the county for that kind of leadership exposure.
Well, that is an excellent segue into the very next question that we have for you. So, in looking at that and COVID-19, it has wreaked havoc upon what we do in government as it relates to our programs that we had with young people because we can't galvanize them, get them together, send them out to different places. And so, in light of COVID, so what are some of the strategies that you see that we can do as citizens and elected officials to move that needle in such a not so warm climate dealing with COVID 19?
Well, that's interesting because I think you probably have the benefit of having a school board leader and other
Mhm.
people who work directly with children to answer that. But here's my thought. Um, Children are engaged electronically. And I was so glad to see our school system and the Women's Foundation of for Greater Memphis, which I am a board member, help provide some of the technology that they needed to take home so they could continue studies at home. Well, we need to advance that technology so we can um, engage them over the summer too. Sure, you may not be able to have the mentorship program in the building this summer, but there may be ways that you can engage them with contests, with essay write, especially our seniors, essay writing workshops. And the reason I say that, I have a daughter who teaches at a private school in Connecticut, and she hosted two essay writing contests. Well, she gave two lectures, and the third, she took their essays electronically and from the lessons that she provided them, went over those essays with them to perfect them to get them ready for their college admission applications. So we have
Mhm.
to think of where they are, what they're doing, and how we can help them stay focused on those things. And I would say use technology to our benefit now and help parents engage. You know, you may be able to think of things that you can, projects the children can do with parents and report back about their parents' experiences on the job and sharing those with being a mentor in a household. You don't
Mhm.
necessarily have to see Chairman Eddie Jones or Chairwoman Robinson, take
Yes.
a look in your own families at the careers that are there and interview those people. And then, just like our capable Channel 3 news hosts, allow them to give their own scripts about those careers. They can still be paid and it's still research and they're still learning. Girls are just some ideas.
Thank you. Uh, I have a young man knocking at my door now. I'm trying to send him a message that I am live, that I can't come to the door to get my city council packet. So I just sent him a message. So I hope you all won't hear him knocking in the background. Tawan, I am so happy to have you here because you understand the plight of our youth. Do you think we're doing enough for our to educate our young people to become engaged, especially in the political process?
That's a good question, too. I recently talked to Election Commissioner Brent Taylor
Hmm.
about an idea that I had for the Election Commission because I do think they too need to see what's happening firsthand. I
Hmm.
think it was Pearl Walker who had a video on Facebook that showed an elderly couple. The man was blind and the woman was on a walker. They took a cab to um, um, to, uh, to the, to the voting site in our district.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of, but to that church to go vote. But when they got out of the cab, no one was there to assist them. Pearl did the best she could by keeping her distance because if you have voting paraphernalia on, you
Hmm.
can't help walk them up to the voting site. But wouldn't it be wonderful to see young people engage, maybe at certain locations, with no voting paraphernalia on other than voting ambassador and
Hmm.
help seniors get in line or get a seat, bring out a seat for them, and say nothing about who you're going to vote for, but just assist them. It would show them how important it is to vote and how so many people struggle to get to the polls because they're making that vote not only for themselves. Most of our days, my days are over. Not just all over, but are over. We're voting for the future. We're voting for them. So find ways to engage them. And Brent Taylor said to me he loved that idea and um, he was going to try to work on that idea for a future election. I think we have to get them engaged in the process. Allow them to talk about issues in their schools. And I know they do this, but give them the platform to do this. That's one thing I really liked about Yo Memphis. Yo Memphis would give children a platform to rehearse and show their talents and allow them to talk about issues, engage them in debates. We once had debating teams and mock trials. Those,
Yes.
those are ways to engage children and stimulate them mentally. And I would love to see us do that. Now, I guess you can see my education degree is popping out all over the place.
Yes.
Because I do believe you learn by doing. I was not a big reader. I
Hmm.
hate, well, I'm not going to say hated reading, but reading was a chore for me. But if you allow me to apply something I learned or watch you do it, the reason I can sew right now is because I used to watch people. My grandmother bowed at her knee. So
Hmm.
you let me see how you do it, I can try to pick it up. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you
All right.
so much, Eddie.
Youth who will be our successors. As you know, we're term limited. We're only in office for a limited amount of time. So, do you believe that we are adequately training up that new leadership to step into that role? And if we are not, what are some of the things that you think that we can do to improve succession of our young people and preparing them in a way to be ready to lead?
I'm gonna go one step further, closer to home than that, and ask each elected official to look around and find someone you can mentor who's already in the trenches, who already has a love for public service, and duplicate yourself. I think one of the problems we have in Memphis politics is that we don't have a big, deep bench. We get in a seat and we do well, but we can't look around and see who's coming next. And until we do that, and pull others in and mentor them for your seat, people want good leadership, but they don't want it to stop with me or you. They want to know that you help somebody else fill that seat and they're going to have good, steady leadership.
Oh, that is why I am so glad we have the people that we've been having for the last 3 days. Keep it real on the chairman's perspective and a view from the chair. That's what I'm talking about. Go ahead, Patrice.
I got you,
So
brother.
true.
You my brother.
So we don't have but a few more minutes in this segment. I just want to say thank you for engaging us this evening. I do believe that we need to engage our young people and we really need to spend more time with them. And I read an article in the paper just 3 weeks ago about wanting to bring jobs for Tennessee graduates back to Shelby County. I had an opportunity to work for them, and to me, that was one of the most wonderful and rewarding programs that I'd ever worked for. And I still see my young people today, and they are so grateful for the opportunity that they had to work in jobs for Tennessee graduates. So, in talking about engaging our youth, we used to have a program
Yeah.
around those youth, and they had their own career association and competitions. It was really uh, put together really
Mhm.
well. So, the last question that we have: are we engaging our youth in the decisions that have an impact on their lives? For example, COVID 19.
Hmm. I think I read somewhere that some of the CARES Act money
Hmm.
was targeted toward programs that would be um, meaningful activities for our youth. I
Hmm.
think we have to engage them. We and if we're not, we should. I'm not sure how much we're doing that, but let me add. Let me keep this real too.
Okay.
Often when we have programs, we target children from middle class homes. And one thing I really like about Mr. Griffin is the lottery that would give children from all over the city and county an opportunity to receive that experience. And somehow we need to develop more programs for our children in juvenile custody. They should not be our forgotten children. Um, one of the saddest stories I can tell you is the day that I went over to, I used to go over to juvenile court once a month to talk to the girls over there and encourage them to let this be your last trip down here, honey. And why what happened to you should not be happening to you. And I left a book. It was a book. It was a life story of um, um, it was an autobiography, and it was a good autobiography of a young woman here in Memphis, Tennessee. The next month that I went there, I learned that two girls got into it because they were having a scuffle over that book. So that led me to ask the question, Is there a library here? And at that time, there was not. So that led me to say, well, I can get some of my friends together and we
Mhm.
all have books.
Yes.
I need to clean out some shelves right now. And we can give appropriate reading and talk about those books and visit them. Yeah, we can do for the ones who are on track, but we
Mhm.
also have to do for the ones who lost track.
Right. And that was a perfect answer and segue into our next session as well, because I'm sure that Ike is going to tell us about what he did at juvenile court this summer.
Good, good, good.
Thank you, Tawad.
Thank you,
I knew you
Tuan.
would do it. Bye bye.
Thank you, Ms. Tawan Stout Mitchell. Some wonderful information there talking about keeping youth engaged and developing a pipeline of our next generation of leaders. So very important. And you mentioned a perfect segue, bringing in our next two guests for the evening, Mrs. Miska Clay Bibbs and Ike Griffith.
How you doing?
Good evening.
Hello, good
Good evening.
evening.
Hi.
Hello, welcome in. So I'm going to read just some very, very quick bios and let you all jump right into it. I know Chairwoman has been working hard to try to stay on time, so I'm gonna stick with it. Ms. Clay Bibbs is the board chair of the Shelby County School Board of Education and has served on the board since 2014. She received her Bachelor of Arts degree with a concentration in marketing from Hampton University and is working on a degree at the University of Memphis. In addition to working for a congressional office, she's worked at Shelby County Schools, the American Heart Association, and has had a varied career in marketing, media relations, and community development. Ms. Bibbs is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Welcome in.
Sound like it's an echo in here.
Uh,
Oh,
professionally read these bios. Agree. Ike Griffith serves as the special assistant to Mayor Jim Strickland and the director of the Memphis Office of Youth Services, where he is responsible for the oversight of all youth programming for the city of Memphis. Director Griffith earned his bachelor's in mass communication and journalism from the University of Mississippi and a master's in education and curriculum and instruction from Union University and his education specialist degree from Union University as well. Mr. Griffith is a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. So welcome in.
I got to represent.
Oh my goodness. Welcome in to both of you. I tell you, your names have already been mentioned before you even got in the room. So I know the chairwoman and chairman are excited to get this conversation started.
Absolutely. Thank you, Zaneta. Thanks to both of our guests. And I'm going to start this out. You know, both of you are two individuals that have spent a lifetime working in the service of young people. And we're going to talk about government and its current roles in the lives of our youth. And so the first question, Ike, I'm going to give it to you. And if Miska has something she wants to add, I'll allow her to add it as well. Talk about your role as it relates to the development of our youth in our community.
Well, we want our children to be successful in every way possible, despite their situation or despite the environment where they come from. We really want to play a role in helping to shape their lives in becoming productive individuals in society. You know, that's one of the top priorities of Mayor Jim Strickland, are the youth in this city. And, you know, we try to do everything we possibly can to provide those services. You know, most of y'all already know, prior to taking this job with the mayor, I was in the school system for about 20 years. And Miska and I, we used to work together and what have you. And coming from an educational background, my dad was my high school principal and my mom was my high school English teacher.
You couldn't get in no trouble.
So, you know, education has been in my forefront for many years. And it's just my purpose. And, once you identify your purpose, it's not work anymore. It's fun. And my purpose in life is to help our young people in any way possible to be successful. We don't have the home structure like we used to. And many of our young people are just yearning for that guidance, a sense of direction. And we must make sure that we have those opportunities out there for them. If not, we have to create those opportunities for those individuals, because we're losing too many of our young people at an early age. Yes. And we need to make sure that we do something to stop that violence that we have among our young people, going in the wrong direction in many cases because they don't have anything to do. So it's very important that we create those opportunities.
Miska, you got anything you want to add?
Absolutely. There's so much to say. I do want to just extend a gracious note to Mr. Juan Stout Mitchell for her previous service, and just really kind of outlining it for around why it's so important to connect with the youth. I think, one of the things that she mentioned that I think is really important is making sure that we connect with those students who don't obviously get touched on all the time. And that's the reality about this work. I think we have to make sure we think about the greater good in all versus only thinking about a certain segment of students. And that's what we're doing every day in Shelby County schools. I think, COVID has definitely been a direct, I think, uncovering, exactly as you would say, really some of the things that were already there, but COVID has made it very clear. It is out loud. It is living there. You can't hide behind the curtains anymore around what it is that's happening in Shelby County. And with that, we as a district have been able to step up, kind of respond in ways that we wouldn't probably traditionally respond, but our kids need us. So it's really showing the inequities. And I think that's why it's important for everybody to work together. I think it's really unique to see county government, city government, and the school district all on the same page. Ms. Stout, Mitchell said it. I don't know the last time that happened. So, and to see it happening now as a response to being able to support our kids right now is what I'm extremely excited for. And just the idea, I think, overall, not just with government, but just community-wide, that everybody has to put some skin in the game to make sure our kids get what they need, because they are our future. I think oftentimes we think about the future as this anomaly, as something that's going to happen on the way. But we know right now, based upon where we are, if we don't get it right now, we have no clue as to what the future will look like. So that's why this work is important.
So, Miska, what are some opportunities that you see in your role right there on the school board that our youth and parents should be taking advantage of?
Oh, I think they absolutely should take advantage of, I'm going to start with devices, because one of the things is for us to be able to do one-on-one devices in such a short amount of time. And we have the majority, I think we're at 97%, 98% or somewhere in the number. Don't quote me, Zaneta, when you go back, and do a story on it, is that everyone has to pick on the device, and there are a few, I think our number is maybe about 775 of families that we have not connected with. But that's out the gate. You got to do that, because if you don't have the tool in order to connect, then you miss the opportunity. Then the next thing is when principals, as well as we have a really great family and community engagement department that's really pushing around connection. They're hosting family forums monthly. They're giving out information monthly around next steps. How do you help your child in this virtual environment? You got to show up. And then I will say this, we press the superintendent a lot around how he's communicating to families. So they get phone calls, they get text messages, they get an email, because that was my big thing around. I don't want to hear an excuse as to why someone didn't know. The catch is now that you have the opportunity to connect, please do. And then if that's not working for you, call us, call a school board member, we have a family welcome center that answers calls daily, that connects us to our families, and also, it's a problem solving situation. We're here. So you can't say you don't know. That's my biggest thing. The opportunity is there. So connect. The other aspect of it is, I think that is really important, is once we've done that, really navigating families around, okay, now what? now you're in this virtual environment. It doesn't mean that you cannot prosper in this virtual environment. I think the main thing is people were saying no, no, no. But the reality is kids are on their phones, have been on their games. Some of them come from birth with a leapfrog in hand or some type of phone, pushing. So if you can do that, and as a parent, allow your child to do that all day, surely you can allow your child to show up in the virtual environment for a small period of time to be able to connect to the work. And then that there's still homework hotline. Then if that doesn't work, there are some of our principals in our leadership teams are saying, hey, call me. So there's ways. And of course, I'm being extremely positive around it, not because I think it's the best way, but I'm being extremely positive around it because it's what we have to do in this environment. So all we can do is push to get it right until we can go back to normal. Yes, we know kids should be in building, but right now COVID is not allowing us to do that in a safe way. So, you know, I love education. I can talk on and on about these kids. Yeah, I live it, eat, breathe it as a parent as well. So I'm really thinking about it constantly.
Yeah, and you know, and so, and I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the screen, Patrice, and as the commissioner for District 11, both of them are my constituents, and so
and both of them are mine.
exactly, and so it is just so wonderful to see that engagement. So I'm going to ask you this, and COVID-19 and the impact of it, and on the lives of our young people, the underserved, the poor. And so what are some of the strategies that the Office of Youth Services doing to support our youth during these unparalleled times?
Well, before I answer that, I just want to give accolade to Juan, Stout, Mitchell for the work she did when she was in the school board. Miska, you just heard from her just a few minutes ago. Patrice Robinson. These are the type of individuals that we need on a regular basis to really set the tone for what we need in the city for our children, especially being on school boards. So I just want to kind of give you all accolades because my head was just bobbing up and down when Juan was talking and Miska was talking. And I know Patrice when she was on the school board. So that was very important to me to hear that, you know, that's still that burning fire. Now, to get to your point about the COVID, you know, we got to get our children trained for new norms, okay? It can't be the same way like it used to be. You got to be able to adapt to changing conditions. And one of the things that we did to embrace those children and parents, one is we knew that there were a lot of parents in the city who were not computer literate, okay? So we came up with a program to give that support virtually to any child and any parent to learn more about the computer and how it operates to help the child get through their academic year virtually. One of the downfalls is that many of our parents do not take the opportunity to be embraced by what we are trying to offer. Parental involvement is very, very important. Now, we had about 34 parents and children to sign up, but they don't stay with it daily. You know, we meet 2 times a week for about an hour, and we took all that under consideration because we know the child's at school, been on the computer all day long. So I just didn't want to burden them with an everyday program, but at least twice a week for about an hour, hour and a half. We start out good, and then they drift away. Okay. We got to learn, and parents got to learn also to see it through. You know, it's just for 6 weeks, but to see it through, it will be some type of help that we're giving the young people. Not only that, we took our program also in juvenile detention. The computer literacy program that we have in that department really are helping the children and the authority figures that's down at juvenile detention center to really help them to be able to navigate and help the children they're at Hope Academy. So we have to just reach out as much as we possibly can, but we really need the people to be supportive of the programs that we bring to the forefront and participate.
Mhm.
Parents need to understand parental involvement is so very important. So very important. And if it's just a few minutes of your time, just to let a child see that you're working with them, want them to succeed, and showing some type of support. Many of our parents don't support the children. They let them go off on their own. You got the, like Miss was saying, they have the devices anyway, and sometimes they don't know the right way to use those devices.
Mhm.
And we really want to make sure that that happens, that they understand the right way to do it. So we are constantly coming up with virtual components to help our young people, despite their background or where they come from. We have them to register, and I have them to do that so we can stay in contact with them on a regular basis, even after our programs are over. So that's how we have to do this on a regular basis, and that's how we're reaching out to the COVID, pandemic, letting our young people know, number one, the precautions, constantly talk about the wearing of the mask, all those things that's real vital in their success, and making sure that they don't get the virus, if all possible.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
So we're about to run out of time on this segment. Ed,
No,
we're
don't
gonna have
say
to ask
that.
her back.
Hey, this need to be a special edition. So we need to
We just gonna have to come back because we got a lot to talk to you
Oh yeah.
about, especially and this is the last question that we're going to ask, and we want both of you to answer. And both of you communicate with juniors and seniors all the time in high school. What are they most concerned about when it comes to their future? Do they share that with you, Miska?
Oh, absolutely. I had a graduating senior, and so those are the questions that I, often dealt with. And as I think about my son, Gen Zers, that's what they are, the Generation Zers.
Yeah.
They are concerned about what will the world look like when it's time for them to think about environment wise. They're concerned about economics. They're concerned about the cities. Will they have jobs for them when they graduate? The other aspect of it is, as we saw over the summer, definitely the racial undertones about what's happening right now in America and who it is that they need to really work with in order for reform regarding racial inequity and injustices. They're being hit hard. 2020, especially for those juniors and these seniors and graduating seniors. I think about that whole combination. My son, we went to go vote yesterday. So that was his second time voting. Of course, I made sure he was registered to vote so he could vote for in August. But, that was a big deal because he sees, and we actually had a conversation about voting yesterday because for them, people think about Gen Zers and like Kanye, and I'm, being very cultural relevant here, like Kanye being on the ballot, and he walked out and he was joking with me, and he was like, "Oh, Kanye's on the on our ballot." He's like, "I almost did," and I just looked at him. He's like, he said, he's like, I'm joking, right? He said, but because I need to know that the world is going to be okay for me, so that I will be able to still be around. And they're seeing it, and it's hitting them in a different way versus, I think, where they used to think about like a post-racial society because of President Obama, because they kept hearing that growing, literally while they were in middle school and high school, they heard that often. But bam, 2020, and I'm gonna say 2019 and 2020 hit, and it's like all in their face around things are definitely not the way that they have been told that it is. So being the mother of a young Black man, we have conversations on the daily around that, and they're concerned.
Okay, I know your young people have concerns as well.
They do. I think one of the major concerns is the injustice that they see on television on a regular basis. They worry about, will they be targeted? Will I be able to get a job after I finish school? But do I have to go through all the prejudice and all the racial undertones to be able to get that job? Another major issue that they always talk to me about too is the fact that they're trying to really balance. I try to teach all my children that education is very important, but many of our young people, and I'm trying to keep them on the straight and narrow, but many of them feel that school is not necessary anymore because sometimes it's so costly. Number one, they get in debt early. Uh, they look about going into the military, and which is a good place to go to. But many of our college bound students who are college material, uh, they're not going. They're having second thoughts. So we're trying to tell them to be able to take advantage of opportunities like the Tennessee Promise, where you can go at least 2 years and get a degree, and maybe you can get grants and what have you to continue your post-secondary education. But they look at that also. That's one of the main reasons. I know, Patrice, we got to come back again, but we have because we have students that we are trying to groom. And Juan made a very good point. Even people in our particular district, we have to kind of pick among the litter, especially seeing some of our young people who want to go in that role. But to get back to the students, they're trying to adjust in this pandemic, this COVID environment that we have now, and it's taking them by surprise. They're still trying to cope, with this lifestyle and being able to create a new norm so they can continue to navigate. So those are some of the major issues that I hear my young people talking to me about, and they are constantly just wondering when it's going to end. No one knows. Should I take the vaccine when it comes out first? I can't tell them anything about that.
They worried about that too?
They worry about that. And those are things that I wish I could answer, but I can't. The only thing I can tell them, make sure you vote. That's it. Just make sure you vote. And then we can take one step at a time after that. So those are some of the key issues that my young people talk to me about.
Well, thank you for joining us on today. We really appreciate you, Ike, and we appreciate you, Miska. And I know Eddie and I will have both of you back.
Yeah, we're going to have both of you back.
Okay. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right.
Thank you to both Ms. Clay Bibbs and Ike Griffith. Some very good discussion there about parental and family and student engagement and adapting in this new normal, this world of COVID. And they talked about the social unrest. Kids are very aware of what's happening around them. So to keep them informed and engaged is extremely critical. Bringing in our next two guests, our final two, wrapping up night 3 of this evening, we have Ashley Hafford and Archie Moss Jr.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Welcome into both of you. Rounding us out this evening, I'm going to do some brief introductions and then we're going to get started. Ashley currently serves as the president of the Memphis Urban League Young Professionals. She also has 10 plus years as a dedicated and widely skilled healthcare professional, including her current role as senior finance manager at Baptist Memorial Hospital. Ashley is a graduate of Emory University, where she earned a bachelor's in economics with a concentration in health economics. For graduate school, she attended Christian Brothers University, where she obtained her master's of business administration with a concentration in project management. She also is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So welcome in to Ashley Hafford.
All right.
Dr. Archie Moss Jr., welcome in, sir. Dr. Moss is a graduate of the University of Florida, where he got his bachelor's in business and family studies, the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, where he got his master's in middle grades education, and a recent graduate of the University of Memphis, where he obtained his doctorate in educational leadership and policy studies. He is the proud principal at Bruce Elementary School, and Dr. Moss is a member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. So welcome in to Ashley and Dr. Archie Moss. Thank you all so much for being with us. We are tight on time, so I'm turning it over.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Zanetta. And we're going to go through this, and I know we're short on time, and we're going to stay on a first name basis. Ashley, Dr. Archie. And so we know your background, where you come from, the love that you have for children, and what you're doing. So, Ashley, in your daily role, what if, what are you doing in providing strategies to improve the lives of our youth and young adults in our community?
Okay. Well, first, before I answer, I want to say thank you for the invitation, the opportunity to share in this discussion. So excited about, there's a lot of conversations like this happening. And as we can see, like there's a record number of early voters here in Shelby County, which is leading the entire state of Tennessee. So I'm hopeful that this platforms like this is really encouraging people to get out and vote, especially younger people. So thank you again for this platform and for inviting me here to share. As I know you're asking about my daily role, but outside of my daily 9 to 5, I truly consider my role within Memphis Urban League Professionals as their president as more of a full-time role than even what I do from 9 to 5. And so just to kind of share with you some of the things that we've been doing through Memphis Urban League Professionals. We have a youth mentoring and development committee within the organization that has worked really since June in tandem with our civic engagement committee to provide events and programs this year that really break down the election process. We always host candidate forums for all of our major local elections. And we've also partnered with Lemoyne on several initiatives and looking to host some additional initiatives in the coming year. But we've led voter registration drives every other weekend since June in various parts of the city. We've also done trivia nights and have really focused on getting youth registered and knowledgeable about the importance of voting. Even at one of our virtual college and career fairs that we've hosted, we're driving home the importance of getting out the vote. And so we're hopeful that, we hear it. I know it's as youth and thinking about Generation Zers, they hear it a lot from their parents and from older individuals, but we're hoping that as millennials, with us really driving home that point that they're, more willing to listen because they feel they can connect with us a little bit more. And so we're really trying to really incorporate them and reach them when it comes to being civically engaged as young people. Some of the future initiatives that we're focusing on, now that we've been focusing on getting them registered, getting them to the booth, but we also want to make sure that we're focusing on engaging beyond the booth, the voting booth, right? And so bringing them in, as I mentioned earlier, to meet the elected officials. This way, it becomes more than just the name you hear around election day. You get to know the individuals that are representing you in the community and the leaders in the community. And hopefully, ultimately, you build mentorships and relationships with people that will further engage the youth to plug into what's going on in their community and how they can contribute and engage and ensure the success of the communities in which they live in. And this also will hopefully help to develop the pipeline mentioned earlier for our future leaders. And so we have a lot of different initiatives that we've been working on and that we're planning to work on in the future as it relates to getting our youth more engaged civically here in Memphis.
Well,
Wow.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for that. And that was a mouthful for our listeners. And just listening to you, just starting off like that. All right, Dr. Archie, I'm going to turn it back over to Patrice. Now you up.
So, Archie, I see you on the news all the time engaging your young people over at group. So I want to know, since you're engaging the youth, what and the parents need to know this, our listening audience, the people who are viewing us on today, what are those opportunities that parents and youth are missing that they should be taking advantage of?
And so I think first and foremost, I think the biggest thing is the engagement and involvement that they have within their school communities. I think it's so important for our parents to be involved. And I think in this state that we're in right now, where we are virtual, it's so important. I think Miska kind of mentioned this earlier. The communication and the connection has to be heightened to a higher level now more than ever, because we don't see our babies every single day. And so I think right now, what we've been trying to do, and specifically at Bruce, is really trying to continue that communication and engagement. And so one of the things that we've been doing at Bruce is, although I have the smallest babies, they all have parents. and their parents need to go out there and vote. They all need to go out there and use their platforms, use their voices to bring on the change that we want to see in Memphis. And so what we've been doing is encouraging our students to put that pressure on their parents to go out and vote. We've been actually starting this off where we on using our social media, we've been blasting our staff pictures. All of our staff have been early voting, sharing their pictures with us. So we've been blasting them on our social media. We've been encouraging our parents to go ahead and send in your pictures with yourself and your I voted stickers at the poll, whatever it is that you need to encourage them. And so every morning on More Announcements, we're continuing to encourage our scholars to ask your parents, did you vote today? And I think it's so important for our kids to see their parents. And we've also encouraged our parents, take our kids to the voting poll with you. They need to see you in the polls. They need to see you, going through that process and voting and using your voice and using your platform so that they too can aspire to do that once they get older and get to that age. And so I think it's so important now, again, as I said, in the state of COVID, where we are trying to make sure that all of our kids have what they need social, emotionally, academically, behaviorally, to be able to function in society. And so I think now more than ever, the partnership between us and our parents is needed so that we can make sure that we're all working together to make sure our youth have exactly what they need to be successful.
And if I can add, like, we recognize you help the youth by helping the parents, right? And I know with Memphis Urban League Young Professionals, we're planning as part of our personal and professional development series, a technical training for parents, especially amid the transition due to the pandemic to virtual learning. A lot of parents are frustrated and, to be honest, lack the technical skills and training to really help their students with the virtual learning. And so we want to help them with the frustrations, help to lessen the load. But as you mentioned, they have to be receptive to and participate in these initiatives. Through MULYP, we're examining ways that we can further lessen the load on our parents. And as a byproduct, help our students succeed with the changing nature of education. And we have to be realistic. The changes that are happening now will certainly be leading to more permanent changes in the way our youth are educated and how we connect with them. And we'll have to evolve if we want to reach them and build them to be our future leaders.
And when you start teaching a class on how to teach this new math, make sure I'm the #1 student. It's ridiculous.
I can't help with the math.
I got you on that.
You got me on the math.
You know what? And they will tell you, I'll sit up here and they'll have a script for me and I'll go off script. I love the feedback off of what you're talking about. And let's just talk about parents and what problems have you seen in connecting with parents and getting them engaged, and what COVID has done because of this virtual learning. Some, they got to go to work. And so what are some of the problems you've seen because of that with our parents, and what do you think we could be doing differently?
So I definitely think we're used to, at the school level, when the babies come to our front doors, we got them. We're going to get them what they need. We're going to give them their food. We're going to get them their clothes if they need clothes. We're going to give them their school supplies. We're used to having that access and providing them with all that they need. Because we're in the state of COVID-19, we can't gather them and have them all in that one space to give them exactly what they need. So we're relying on our parents. And as Ash just mentioned, they have to be receptive. We are here. We are readily available to support them. All my parents have my personal cell phone number. You can call me, you can text me, because I'm here to support you. And again, as it relates to learning how to pick up the technology. So Miska spoke about this earlier. Some of our parents aren't doing the best about picking up the technology when it was time. And then I take that a step further. Once we have the technology, one of the challenges that we've seen is students aren't being provided with a safe and orderly learning environment at the house. So as soon as the kids come off of mute, we hear everything going on in the household. And again, we've had scholars, some of our babies, second grade students, who have emailed me personally asking me, can I call her mom and tell her parents to be quiet so she can learn? And the fact that a second grade student feels so empowered to, number one, come to me and asked me to help her, made me feel like I've done something right. But it also was disheartening to know that a second grader is advocating for her own education and her mother was not. And so I think we just got to do a better job. I know some people are at home and they're not used to their kids being home with them, but they're not used to the kids having to work and be in quiet environments. But your babies are learning. And so we need you all to be providing that quiet learning environment so that it's conducive for our scholars to learn to be successful. Because I guarantee you, my teachers are going to give them the best education possible. They're going to deliver those lessons. They're going to teach that new math to the best of the ability. But again, we need our parents to make sure that our kids show up to school every single day. The kids are at home. Why do we have absences? We shouldn't be having absences. We shouldn't have kids not showing up to virtual school when you have the leisure of being in the comfort of your home and just logging on and being ready. And so I've just been continuing to, reach out to our parents. And again, I've been thanking them because they have given us so much grace, understanding, patience. This is definitely different. This is a different time for everyone. And so I always give them my kudos and thank them for their role. We just got to keep that train running and make sure that our kids continue to get exactly what they need. And we just need their support.
Wow, that's a lot. We really appreciate both of you being here tonight. We had 3 more questions that we wanted to ask you, but you're going to have to come back anyway.
Yes.
And we want you to start thinking about what can Eddie and I do to help you? What can government do to help you in your work in educating our young people? And that's what we're going to talk about at the top of our next show.
Yes.
Thank you, both of you, for being with us this evening. This is a view from the chair. Patrice Jordan Robinson, Eddie.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to thank, we have had 3 wonderful nights of gifted conversation about the future of our young people, the future of our country, the future as it relates to voting. And I believe that it's made such a great impact. And I'm Eddie S. Jones, Jr., Chairman of the Shelby County Board of Commissioners, and that is the chairman's perspective.
Well, I want to thank all of our guests for from this evening. We had Juan Stout Mitchell, Miska Clay Bibbs, Ike Griffith, Ashley Hafford, and Dr. Archie Moss Jr. And of course, a special thanks to our chairwoman of Memphis City Council, Patrice Robinson, and chair of the County Commission, Eddie Jones. We have had 3 nights of fabulous discussion talking about social action and impact, economic development and entrepreneurship, and speaking to the youth. 3 nights, 3 themes, fabulous discussion. And you heard from the chairs there, they're going to have some of these people back. Of course, if you just happen to join us, you can always go back and watch this on both of their Facebook pages, as well as some other links. Those have been provided. So we thank you for being with us for these virtual town halls, these 3 nights. We hope you have a wonderful evening and a great weekend ahead.